I've always been a movie guy. As a kid, I couldn't think of a better Friday night than going to Blockbuster to pick out a title from the new release section, knowing that I would soon be transported to new adventures in worlds both foreign and familiar. Dreams incarnate, this movie wonderland was endless stories under one roof. In my bedroom, framed posters like Men in Black, Twister, and Roland Emmerich's Godzilla, the best of the Godzilla movies, yeah, I said it, adorn my walls like guardians of my own personal galaxy. And an ever-growing collection of VHSs and DVDs filled the shelves discriminately designed for books. For the better part of a decade, I regularly paid tribute to Hollywood Video at their 4 for $20 bin. Two pleasant movie-going memories are going to see Deep Blue Sea with my sweet grandmother and seeing my reserved grandfather laugh uncontrollably at the Harlan Williams urine scene in Dumb and Dumber. Frequency will always remind me of my dad, the Sound of Music my mom, and somewhere along the way, It's a Wonderful Life went from my least favorite to among my top 3. For almost 30 years, I saved every movie ticket stub, and for as long as I can remember, making home movies with my brother has always played a role in my life. Classics such as Mini Vice, Phantom Nights, and Larry the Learner to name a few. Tim Burton once said, "Movies are like an expensive form of therapy for me." Growing up, movies were my inexpensive form of therapy. So needless to say, when planning a recent West Coast trip with my mom and brother, spending a day at Universal Studios was a non-negotiable. And like every good story, this one came with a twist. It was a bright and sunny day. A red carpet welcomed us as we entered the studio gates, as we began our day with some of Hollywood's greatest characters. The studio tram was first on our to-do list, and it didn't disappoint. From classic movie sets to original props, it was easily one of the day's highlights. We then took in Super Nintendo World and the Transformers ride. Both great, but we definitely started with dessert. As the day grew hotter, my appetite grew with it. At about 2 p.m., we found an open table at the eatery next to the Transformers ride, and I didn't hold back. I was Augustus Scaloop, and the food court was my chocolate factory. Anything edible seemed to make it onto my plate, and if there was a chocolate river, I probably would have had my snout in that too. But little did I know, this culinary disinhibition would be my road to perdition. Somewhere between the ham sandwich and the personal pizza, the plot thickened as the contents of my intestines thinned. Cheese and pepperoni were the sun to my stomach's wings of wax, and like Icarus's wings, my insides started to liquefy. And as we know from grade school science, liquid always finds the path of least resistance. Apparently, whatever resistance a normal working body has, mine was suddenly malfunctioning. Like two dams simultaneously on the verge of structural failure, both my north and south were compromised. In Blake Snyder's book on writing screenplays, Save the Cat, he writes that there's a third act beat called All is Lost, the moment when the hero's obstacles are seemingly insurmountable. This all is lost moment was about to be literal for me. As my vision started to dim, scenes of Stand By Me flashed before my eyes, and I became certain of 3 horrifying truths. I was going to have my own personal barfarama, I was going to turn my Fruit of the Looms into a fudge factory, and pass out, and not necessarily in that order. And worst of all, I would need to be wheeled out on a gurney past the Fast and Furious Plaza. If I was family, even Dom would turn his back. To avert catastrophe, I had to work backwards and quickly. I knew how this one ended. What I didn't know was how it began. My own personal memento. Thankfully, the solution didn't have a 2-hour runtime. Between the Southern California heat, the large meal, and sudden lava gut, technically speaking, the clues fell into place. I was dehydrated. It was the perfect storm meets bullet train. If I didn't act quick, not even a tag team effort of Pierce Brosnan and Tommy Lee Jones could save me from this impending eruption. Over the next 40 minutes, ice water was purchased, drank, and poured on my head in a desperate attempt to reinforce the dam, to re-solidify my intestines. An effort that thankfully worked. Not only did I manage to avoid the embarrassment of my own personal physiological purge, but I also avoided the embarrassment of being carted out in front of my childhood therapists. In the book of John, dehydration is also addressed, so to speak. In the account of the woman at the well, after a brief exchange, like the well itself, Jesus started speaking in depth. Whereas the woman has spent her life living in the shallows, Jesus was inviting her into the deep. And what better way to bridge the gap of understanding than to talk about water and thirst? almost like Jesus was saying, "Water, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means." In his commentary of The Woman at the Well, theologian J.C. Ryle writes, "The truth of the principle here laid down may be seen on every side by all who are not blinded by prejudice or love of the world. Thousands of men have every temporal good thing that heart could wish and yet are weary and dissatisfied." We all long for that which will truly satisfy. But do we really know that for which we long? Many do not. Psalm 107, 8 and 9 reads, "Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man. For he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good things." And so Jesus explained to the woman at the well. Jesus said, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." Dehydration can have a cruel side effect. It can disguise itself as hunger. It's cruel because digestion actually slows when the body lacks water. That day at Universal, I thought I knew what I needed, what I believed would help. I was wrong. And worse, with every bite of food, I was unknowingly making my situation worse. I was the man lost at sea, attempting to quench his thirst with seawater. Spiritually speaking, I believe that's where the devil does some of his dirtiest work. Inside the disguise, within the deception. Because if he can deceive us to believe we're hungry when we're really thirsty, all he needs to do is sit back and watch us fix ourselves to death. Thankfully, I realized what I needed before it was too late, before my story ended as a tragedy. Like the movie Signs, water was the twist in my story. Perhaps water could be the twist in yours.